After 10 years, the London Resort is finally about to come to life. In Planet Coaster, that is, anyway. I'm Sean Sandbrook, and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide, where it's time for a brand new series of Let's Play Planet Coaster. Now, this is one that I've been wanting to do for quite a few years, and I thought that now would be the perfect time, especially as we've had brand new concept art released for the London Resort. Now, just before I talk more about the series, just wanted to give you a bit of a backstory about this proposed new theme park. Set to be built in Kent on a peninsula. There's been various different plans and concepts over the years since it was first announced back in 2012. Here we are, February 2022, and yes, there's still nothing on the ground. There's no construction taking place. There is absolutely nothing. However, there is more concept art and new information keeps getting released every few months. It seems to be in the newspapers, and yeah, I thought that, you know what, enough is enough. I am going to make the London Resort, but in Planet Coaster, and it's actually going to open, it's going to operate, and yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So yeah, to get started then, I'm basing it off this recent concept art. You've got to bear in mind that, you know, these are only concepts. They're not very detailed. There's no real detailed plans on the areas, and yeah, there's fancy concepts, but there's not kind of detailed layouts for rides and coasters, and it's hard to tell manufacturers. So yes, there's going to be a lot of my own ideas coming into this too. However, the main base of it, we'll be looking at the concepts and putting this together. Starting off then with the building that you can just see there in the middle that I've started with. Now, when you look at the concept art, you can see these big glass domed kind of structures that form part of the entrance street. That's one of those that I've put in just there. Again, it's only in the early stages. It's just the structure of it. I've not added the glass or things under it yet because, yeah, that'll all come later. I just wanted to get the scale of this, really, you know, because it's hard to tell. It really is. And just trying to get the scale right for this project was something that I really struggled with for the first kind of hour that this footage is coming from here. It was just working out the scale, and you'll notice quite a few changes actually to what I've just done here in a few minutes time when I kind of start working on building up the medieval themed area that's going to be along the back section there. But yeah, a bit more about the series then. I mean, this is going to run, I'm hoping to actually have episodes twice a week for this one, and that's based on feedback from past Planet Coaster series. And a lot of people have always said, oh, we love it so much. However, waiting a week between episodes is a little bit too much. So obviously, I've started this series a little bit later than I did with previous Planet Coaster series last year, and that's because we've just done that huge trip to Las Vegas in California, and me and Charlotte had an absolutely amazing time. Of course, the highlight being that we are now engaged, which is amazing. Like, it still feels weird saying it. It's amazing. Like, it really is after all this time, honestly. So thank you so much for all of your kind words and support. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, you know, because of that trip, Planet Coaster it's been a little bit later starting, so I thought, well, yes, let's go for 2 episodes a week, and hopefully, you know, this park's gonna come to life, and we'll kind of wrap up the series around the middle to the end of March. So yeah, it's going to run throughout this month and into next month, and we'll kind of see how we're going, because of course the parks will then all be opening up. So yeah, it's a perfect time for me to do this. I've still got quite a bit of time on my hands before the theme parks start opening up again, and we get out there filming loads of new vlogs. So yeah, I thought it'd be the perfect time to get this started up again. Now, when you look at the concept art, you can see what seems to be like a medieval area with a castle. There's a fire-breathing dragon on the roof, and that's what I'm kind of starting with just over here. Again, it was pretty hard just to get the scale of this and make sure that it was right. However, as you're going to see throughout this episode, I'm pretty pleased with how it ends up. I mean, you've seen the thumbnail already, and yes, there will be a large coaster getting built later in this episode, so stay tuned for that. The first coaster of quite a few that I'm going to be building in this park. Is there going to be as many roller coasters as some of the original concepts from 2012 and even some of the later ones from 2015 and beyond? Probably not, because you've got to think the amount of coasters here, or at least outdoor coasters, has definitely been watered down over the years, and that's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion, because in the UK we have a pretty good mix of roller coasters in my opinion. What we seem to lack is heavily themed experiences and immersive areas, and it does seem like the London Resort kind of wants to go down that. They've also said how they want most of the park, or at least the vast majority of attractions, to be actually undercover. So we've got to bear that in mind when we're actually designing this. Yes, there's going to be some outdoor areas. You can see this beautiful lake that we've got just off to the left there of this medieval area. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of indoor attractions, a lot of show buildings, a lot of covered over queue lines, that sort of thing. Because yeah, that is what they are proposing. Now, we are going off concept art that, you know, isn't very realistic. I'd say the one that's just been released, the one that looks very similar to Epic Universe that Universal, of course, are building at the moment in Florida. It does look very similar to that. However, that's the most kind of realistic and best looking of all the concept arts. We've seen so much over the past 10 years. To be honest, I can't believe that this has been going on for 10 years, but I thought enough was enough. We need to build it in Planet Coaster. When I announced it a few days ago on our social media pages, go and give us a follow there, by the way, if you haven't already. Yeah, when I announced it, a lot of people were making jokes saying, oh, you know, I'm glad you're building it, Sean, because we're not actually going to step into the real thing. You never know. Anything is possible. I do still remain very skeptical on the project, as I'm sure many of you are aware, and if you've watched our news updates in the past, I am still very skeptical. However, I would love to see it open. I really would do. I think it'd be great. It'd certainly give the parks in this country a run for the money, and they'd have to up the game, especially the Merlin parks, and with them having the monopoly really over the UK theme park industry. It would be fantastic, but there's going to be so much discussion throughout this series about the London Resort, because there is a lot to talk about, and kind of as we go through each area, I'm going to share what I think they're going to build in that area, really. So yeah, you're going to get a real good analysis of what they're going to build. Is this going to be an exact replica? Of course it's not. You know, construction hasn't even started. It may not ever start. We're going off concepts that some of them aren't very realistic. Some of them are very mismatched. Others don't really add up with other concept art. It's like this medieval castle I'm building here up on a hill. We've seen so many different versions of it. There's been versions with boats out the front, like there's been all sorts, but I'm basing this more off that recent concept that we've seen. So yeah, more about the medieval castle then. You can see that I've raised the land up just there at the back. I wanted it to be on an elevation. That's because when you do look at them visuals, you can see it kind of raised up. You're going to walk down the entrance street. You've got the body of water off to the left. You've got what seems to be a river running off to the right. And then, yeah, you've got this huge castle out the front with the fire-breathing dragon that, of course, we've put in at the top. No fire effects yet, but that will be added in due course. And, yeah, from zooming in, it looks like that's going to be the area that's home to the signature roller coaster at this park. And we're going to move on to that shortly. But there's also a bit of a mini area around it. Looks like possibly a flat ride around there. There's another show building on the plans that we can see. Again, I'm going to have to make some of this stuff up and just kind of put my own ideas in, because we don't know what's in that building. It could be a show, it could be a flying theatre, it could be a dark ride, it could be an indoor roller coaster. Yeah, that's the beauty of this. Yes, it's going to look very similar to the concepts, but also there's going to be my ideas along the way. And also, if you've got any suggestions, of course, keep them coming in. It's going to be a fully interactive series again, much like I've done for many years now with Planet Coaster. I know that so many of you are happy that there is a series. I think a lot of you thought there wasn't going to be one. Well, of course, a big part of Theme Park Worldwide has been Planet Coaster since it came out in 2016. We've done so many builds, so many series, and it's our 10th anniversary of the channel this year. So we couldn't not have a 10th anniversary series of Planet Coaster, could we? And a Let's Play series. So that's what this is. And I thought it'd be a real good subject. Instead of, you know, all my past projects have all been make-believe. They've been fantasy stuff that, you know, runs around in my head that I wanted to kind of build and put out there, and certain ideas that I'd seen from the parks that it gives me that inspiration. This is not that. This is completely different, because I'm having to go off other concepts now and other people's layouts. And, you know, this park layout certainly isn't one that I would have done off my own back, you know, so that's part of the fun of it. For the first time, I'm kind of working with limitations here, because I've also got to get the look of it right, the scale of it right, and that's what really took the time. For the first hour or so, like I say, I was messing about with the land and thinking, God, that water doesn't look right there, and yeah, that was all a big thing. But as you can see, the castle's looking good for this medieval section. Going to have a big waterfall there, because I thought that'd look really nice. Again, in the actual visuals that have been released, you can't really see a waterfall there, but you can see all the rocks and the fact that it's elevated with the river just below it. So I thought, let's add a nice waterfall in there, because that would be a great feature. And that's the thing, when these theme parks, whether this one gets built or not, who knows? It's certainly getting built in Planet Coaster. But yeah, when theme parks are announced, we see so many different visuals for these parks. And, you know, a lot of them finer details aren't added into them. So I'm kind of taking it, you know, upon myself to add some of these finer details, if you like, into the park. So yeah, this waterfall is kind of the first one of them little touches that I'm going to be adding into this project. So yes, the London Resort is something that is very fascinating. It's fascinated myself. I know it has a lot of other people too. So yeah, it's one that I'm looking forward to kind of putting together and bringing it to life, so to speak, over the next kind of month and a half to 2 months here on Theme Park Worldwide. Now, of course, I've said I'm hoping to get 2 episodes out a week. It all depends on anything else that may crop up. Of course, you know, there'll always be an episode on a Wednesday. However, I'm also hoping to have an episode out every Saturday too. However, I will let you know in the previous episode if the Saturday one is going to go ahead that week, because of course it is very time consuming, Planet Coaster. And in a way, this is an even more time consuming project, because it's not just the ideas running around in my head that I'm putting out there. It's me having to look at visuals that are already kind of out there and go with that. So yeah, you know, it is going to take longer for this project. In terms of how it's looking though, I mean, what are we, nearly 12 minutes in? What you're seeing here is about 3 hours worth of work nearly already, and I'm really pleased with how it's looking with the castle up there. We've got various different turrets, the planting and the rocks around there as well. It all just seems to be coming together nicely. Now, in terms of what's inside the castle, nothing really from what I can see from the visuals. We can't see any sort of rides inside there. However, there'll probably be restaurants and that sort of thing, or it may just be a bit like the Disney castles, really, that yes, some of them do feature some small things, but there's not massive attractions other than at Shanghai Disneyland that's got a boat ride underneath. So yeah, I thought with this, the castle really is more there as kind of a focal point for when you walk into the park. You're going to come out of this covered over glass entrance street and you're going to see the castle, and it also looks like from the plans that'd be where they'd actually run nighttime shows as well. So I'm thinking about that in terms of pathways and viewing areas for a potential nighttime show up there on this medieval castle. And that's what we're looking at. Now, some of the finer details going on to the castle already. Again, I may come back and add some more to it at a later date. But I was just really wanting to put this in first because it is the signature building when you come in through the entrance. And in terms of signature attractions, this is the one that we're starting with first. Now, it's going to be a roller coaster. And yeah, I've got a lot to say about this because, again, you look at them plans, them concepts. And I say plans, they're not really detailed plans at all. We don't know heights, we don't know track layouts, and what I'm going to be building here is kind of my observation of what I can see. And I can see off to the left, as part of the medieval area, I can see an RMC, a hybrid coaster. Now, potentially, I mean, looking at the concepts, potentially this could be a dueling ride. Now, you look at it, it does kind of look like it could be either a dueling wooden coaster, or possibly it's not dueling, but then it's also not got a lift hill either. So this shows how accurate these concepts are. It shows an actual show building that must have the station inside, and then it's got a couple of kind of gaps where the track comes out. So I'm going to kind of put that into, and do that here and put that into the park. But yeah, I'm not going to go for a dueling coaster. Again, it's that hard to tell. Again, the layout itself that we've got, you can't really go off that at all as well. So, I'm kind of using my own ideas and inspiration with this, but putting the ride in the location where it looks to be, because you can't go off, a plan. And that's what, we can't even see a lift hill, a direction of the lift hill. To be honest, it looks like it might be launched, but then if it's launched, there's not really much chance it's going to be an RMC. So, unless it's like a lightning rod kind of thing, with a launch lift, or maybe not a lift, that's the possibility possibilities with this. So what we're looking at here, I thought the lift hill would go in. We've not gone for anything too tall. The coaster itself is about 120 foot tall. So we're not going for a massive, like Zadra style hybrid coaster. We're going for a nice kind of, a good solid height. We're going more for, you know, like an Untamed at Wallaby Hollands kind of height for this. And I think that's more realistic in terms of, you know, the planning restrictions for the site as well. So of course we go down the drop, go straight up into the first inversion, drop down to the left, and then we're coming up into a stall just here as well, a custom built stall that I'm doing. Took quite a bit of smoothing out, that did, to get it right. I mean, I'm not an expert coaster builder in this game. I'm more about the theming. That's more my sort of thing. However, I do always try with the coasters to do kind of, you know, a realistic layout. You got to think when you're building an RMC as well, it doesn't really need to be profiled that well, because RMC don't really do that. That's part of their designs, isn't it? They're wacky, crazy coaster designers, you know, that they are. So, and that's what makes their rides. They've got tracking weird places. It's like when you come out the station, you're going to bank round to the left, you know, as you're turning right, which would be quite a nice feature. Again, that's kind of a feature of Untamed at Wallaby Hollands that I really like. And so I thought, let's implement that on this ride. Now, when you look at the plans, the concepts, you can see how it really goes into this medieval area. So what I wanted to do here was have some airtime moments, some really strange piece of track where the train has actually kept its speed really well here. So yeah, I wanted to kind of drop it round, do a little turnaround section, and then drop underneath a tunnel, which would then start its kind of return journey towards what will be a mid-course brake run, and then round to the main brake run itself. So, and that's the idea of this. It's also a nice bit of interaction as well, with the castle up there at the top. So yeah, there is a chance that, you know, if this part does actually get built in real life, that it could be a dueling coaster, possibly a dueling RMC or a dueling wooden coaster. But yeah, I thought let's go for this, because it is hard to tell, but I can definitely see what looks to be inversions on the concept. So I thought, well, let's go for this. You know, it's got to be. We can't just have a standard wooden coaster with inversions, really. It's got to be an RMC. So and it kind of just looks like that to me. So yeah, that's what we're going with this one. Now here you can see I'm just working on the area where the mid-course brake run is going to be. I was just making sure that was straight, because I want that to be lined up with the couple of airtime hills that we've got just over there. So yeah, I was just banking that round. That's actually going to have a tunnel over the section I'm just using there. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that we're kind of going to drop down, have a really good head chopper element as we're going down into that tunnel. Straight into a double up just there. I thought, again, that'd be really nice. The second part of the ride is all about the airtime. As you can see, there is only the 2 inversions on this ride, but I feel like that is all it needs. It's not a very tall coaster, so it didn't really need to have any more inversions, in my opinion. I wanted it to be more about the airtime that was on this than the inversions. However, yes, I wanted it to have a couple. We can see that in the concepts, but also it looks like a complete airtime machine. From what we can see from the visuals that were released officially by the park. So yeah, I thought we'd go for something like this. Then goes into a nice upwards helix before turning round to the left. And yeah, this is the final section before it's actually going to go round and hit the brake run. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this has come together. In just a moment, I will take you for a ride on there. Just going to do a little bit of terraforming around there. I'm going to add the tunnel in first, and then I will take you for a ride on this beast of a coaster. However, yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's all come together. So far, for nearly 20 minutes in. I've been playing the game for about 4.5 hours at this point to get to this stage. So that shows how time consuming it is. And yeah, you know, I really wanted to do this project. And I thought, well, with the main season is, you know, coming up in about a month and a half, I thought, am I going to have time to do it? So I thought, well, let's not do 1 episode a week. Let's try and do 2, 1 on a Wednesday, hopefully 1 every Saturday, if I stick by it. And yeah, that was the plan. I mean, you know, when I say I stick by it, I really want to, but it all depends on if other things crop up and, you know, other things are going on as well. Other videos, news updates, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's my plan, but there'll definitely be at least an episode every Wednesday, with the hopeful second episode with the plan of wrapping up this project kind of mid-March could stretch towards the end of March, but obviously a lot of parks are going to be opening. We're going to be back out doing stuff. So here we go. Let's have a nice on-ride POV, shall we, from this beast. Nice bit of banking there to the left, and then up onto the lift. May do a bit more smoothing around some of these sections at some point. Just because I'm showing you this POV now doesn't mean that's the finalised smoothened layout, but I did spend about 15-20 minutes with the smoothing tool just going around. But then it is also an RMC coaster. It's a hybrid, so some of their designs are wacky, they are weird. We've got some weird sideward kind of airtime moments on some of their best rides, like Zadra and Steel Vengeance, so I really wanted to kind of implement that into the layout. Here we go, nice bit of hang time. Hey! And down we go. Oh, I won't mind riding this. Straight up then into the first inversion. Nice 0G roll. Yeah. Pretty smooth. Nice bit of air time. Keeps the speed really well, doesn't it? Into the stall there. Lovely. It's kind of like a 0G roll, but half 0G stall as well. Some great air time. Oh, look at that. It keeps the speed really well. I thought it might have slowed down at the top. Under the tunnel, into the mid-course. Airtime, double up. Oh, you can just feel that airtime. Into a nice upwards helix. Lovely. Nice head chopper coming up. Whoa. Little airtime hill. And then round into the brake run. And of course, that takes us round to the right and back into the station. Really pleased with that. Now, I'm also going to be needing your suggestions, of course, because it's a fully interactive series. We've got really no names or direct themes. Like, yes, we know there's going to be like a dinosaur area and that sort of thing going into this park, if it does get built in real life. However, the London Resort haven't really said much in terms of names or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to need you guys for, as always, because you are brilliant with these Planet Coaster series. So it is just for fun. Comment down below with a name and a bit of a backstory for this medieval-themed RMC hybrid coaster. 2 inversions, 120 foot tall, lots of airtime, and we've got a bit of a covered queue line going in here. We're going to have some guards in there, some knights. As you can see, we're theming all the inside of the buildings kind of as we go with this project. Sometimes I've kind of gone back to them in past projects and themed kind of the stations inside and stuff later on. Not going to be doing that with this. I'm going to make sure all the internal work is actually done as we're building the park, and that's because there's going to be a lot of internal work with this. Like it's a big park, it's a big project to do. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that we're doing all the show buildings out as we kind of move on with the project. So yeah, we've got a bit of internal queue line there as well. Again, they did say, the project managers have said, well, we want it to be a lot of indoor areas, a lot of covered over queue lines, that's sheltered areas. So yeah, we're really implementing that into our design here, this virtual version of the London resorts. Now, this is coming together nicely. Got a cart going in there, lots of other random objects and items, and this is where I can get really creative, because yes, we can see a large coaster there, and this is the biggest coaster in the park from what we can see. Don't really expect there to be massive B&M coasters and stuff, because it doesn't look like that's what they're really going to be going for now. It seems like it's more going to be about the themed experience with this park, which I'm really thankful of. But still, I'd be very happy if we got an RMC like this. I think it would be brilliant. Does it need to be dueling? Not at all. Hence why I've not built a dueling coaster here, because, it's hard to tell in the concepts anyway. However, I personally feel, do we need a dueling coaster or even a Mobius like Twisted Colossus, where, it's the same track, but it kind of races with each other on a second section? That would be cool, but it's certainly, not needed. I think this would be really nice because it's following the terrain as well. All this section where I'm adding the rocks and landscaping now, it's a real terrain coaster throughout all of this section, which is really what I wanted from this ride. And also, I didn't want it to have too much of a visual impact from down by the entrance, because as much as the concept art that we've seen is like an aerial kind of bird's eye view, I wanted to, kind of make sure that from down the entrance, take it into my own, the sight lines and visuals I wanted to be right. I love sight lines in Planet Coaster. In real theme parks, sight lines can be a massive thing for me. That's why I really appreciate like the Disney parks for building like a massive berm around the edge of them, because, it blocks out the outside world. It keeps it immersive, and that's what I wanted to do here. Just wanted to talk about accessibility then. So, yes, as you can see, from what it looks from the plans, I mean, the entrance to this area looks very weird, doesn't it? So I wanted to make sure that we've got this ramp going up and it's not all step access. Yes, there's going to be some steps like you can see going in here. However, there is plenty of ramps for access as well. Really thinking about accessibility and making sure that wheelchairs, pushchairs could make it around this park nice and easy. And another ride is going in now into this little medieval courtyard area behind the castle. Again, this is back on ground level now. And yeah, we've got a nice little spinning ride just there, of course, where all of the cars actually lift up. And yeah, this fits in really nice with the medieval theme. Of course, we've got a character in the middle there. I am going to need a name for this one. So get your name suggestions coming in. You've only got a couple of days because the next episode is coming on Saturday. Which gives you only 3 days to get your suggestions coming in. So ideally, they need to be in the next 48 hours, you know. We're moving fast with this project. Before we know it, next week, you know, you're going to be looking at a pretty big park. You know, things are really starting to progress quick with this one. So yeah, it's going to be a really good, fun series that I'm really looking forward to sharing more of. As you can see here, I'm putting in another building. This is going to be a restaurant facility, also a staff room, and along with that, toilet facilities for this area as well. It's right in the middle, and that's going to continue on with the castle kind of courtyard feel that we're creating around here at the back. And you know, I'm only lightly starting that in this episode. That's where I'm going to be starting off in the next episode, and also going to be putting in a indoor dark ride attraction as well, so stay tuned for that. But here we go. Here's a few screenshots just to end episode 1 of the London Resort series, kind of showing you, yeah, we've got that white structure there that is going to form part of the entrance streets, like a main hub area. Of course, we've got the castle in, we've got the coaster in, a flat ride, and yeah, one final look just here at that official concept art released just a couple of months ago for the London Resort. But there we go, what a first episode. Thank you very much for watching Theme Park Worldwide, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. See you on Saturday, and get out there and keep on riding.